What's up, world? This is Joshua Williams. This is my era. What about you?
This is My Era podcast. We spark the minds that set the trends that change the world as we know. And it starts right now. So let's go. This is My Era. Hosted by Kuda Biza. And yours truly, Mr. Alexander Starr. This is my era. Represents everybody who knows they want a better world and does something about it. This is our era. What about you?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome one, welcome all. We are back with the This Is My Era podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Alexander Starr. Mr. Kuda Biza, my co-host, he's on vacation right now, doing big things all around the world. So I'm holding it down by myself, but I'm really not by myself. Listen, our guest today is the embodiment of the This Is My Era mantra and mentality. He started a nonprofit at 5 years of age, fed
3 million pounds of food.
1.3 million pounds of food, and
300,000 people helped.
300,000 people helped. I read that on a billboard. He empowers and engages young people ages 2 and older to find their passion and their purpose. So by the end of this episode, you are going to be fed. Pun totally intended. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Joshua Williams of the Joshua's Heart Foundation.
Hi, what's up?
What's up, bruv? It's been a while, man. You growing up, man. How old are you now?
I'm 16, getting older.
16 years old. You're driving now.
Permit. Half, almost there. Just got my permit. I got it a little late though, but yeah, I'm getting there.
I mean, you being, driven around, changing the world, like, we're not mad at that, man. The last time I saw you, maybe 3 years ago? Yeah, I think you were 13 the last time I saw you. You definitely had braces.
That was a while ago then, yeah.
Yeah. So, for those who don't know who you are yet, for the This Is My Era listeners, what do you do?
Well, basically, I do two things, and first one is try to inspire and motivate kids my age and younger and older people, just to really make a change and to really try to make an impact in people's lives in any way that they can, whether it's just, being kind in any way or starting your own project, trying to impact people's lives. Just really try to make a change in the world, in somebody else's life. The other thing is actually having our own project, which is where we give out food to people who are in need, give out books, toys, different things like that. So that's what I do.
Y'all give out toys too?
Yeah, we have.
I didn't even know that.
Christmas is time for joy, and we give out toys to some of the kids. We bring Santa, hire him. He comes from the North Pole, comes down and gets toys and all that.
I keep the dream alive. I believe. Yo, that's fly. So, Joshua's Heart Foundation, starting it at age 5. That moment, right? I know everybody's like, oh, what made you want to start a nonprofit so young? What I want to know is, what was your mom's reaction to hear her 5-year-old coming up with such ideas?
Well, the very first time that I wanted to start to help people out, it's a lot of responsibilities. I came in and asked her to help me help people, bring food to them, help kids all across our community. And she kind of dismissed it, I guess, to the side. So after her, I went to my aunts, asked them to help me out. Nothing came out of that, so I moved on, actually fired them. And then I went back to my mom. But this time, I think she saw that I really wanted to do this, and being the person that she is, she decided that I have to help him out. So with her help and my family's help, I was able to start a little project here and there, and eventually blossomed into something more than that.
So I'm a father. I have a son, Zion. He's 6 now. And I can just imagine, when Zion asks me for something simple, like, Dad, can you take me over to Joel's house? I think of all these things involved. What time is it? Where do I need to be in 2 hours? What time would I need to be back to come get you? Man, I got to probably buy food for everybody. And I'm like, all these things go through my mind, right, just for something simple like that. Now, mind you, I love my son. I do everything for him.
Of course.
But if my son came to me saying, Dad, I need you to incorporate a 501c3.
I didn't start like that.
Okay, so this is important for us all to know. It doesn't just happen,
Of
right?
course.
Give us the process, your 5-year-old process. How did this start?
And with any business, anything, it has to start somewhere and start small usually. And what happened was, at first, I didn't exactly know the path that I wanted to do on either. I didn't know about 501c3s or incorporating or any of that. I just knew that I wanted to help people out. And it started with that passion, I guess, as most things do, I think. And what happened is I got my family members, and we're Jamaicans, and my grandma, she cooks in the big pots and all that. So basically, I got her to cook some Jamaican food, which wasn't anything out of the normal. And we packed it up in little takeout containers, and we actually delivered them to the homeless, just like 1 or 2, 3 people that we saw on the street. So it started really small, and it was like a little family project, like really, really small, that anybody could do, really. And it was a really cool thing. But eventually, it grew to something more. We started to help more people, cook more food, and so it turned into a little system, I guess. And we did that for 2 years. So we eventually started helping about 200 families every Saturday, cooking Jamaican food, putting in takeout containers.
Real quick question. How was this funded? In the beginning stages, who's
And
paying for all this
honestly,
food?
it was just a blessing of God. It was our family was able to provide for it. I have a
Amen.
big family. My aunts, my mom has a couple sisters here, and they all live in Miami. And basically, they have the business that they have together, and basically, they were able to provide that for us, and it was just something that I'm very grateful for. Blessed to be able to have, but we were able to give something back. And just coming from up how I was raised and how my mom was raised, and how they were raised, we always believed in community and giving back, and that's how I was raised. Very specifically, so it wasn't anything out of the normal to give back and start to try to help people out. So yeah, it was a natural
That's
thing for me, I
fly.
guess.
So it's natural. The family was given. One thing I know about Jamaicans. Zion's mom is Jamaican, and Zion's grandma on his mom's side, she loves to cook the same way. But her favorite thing to cook is my one superhero weakness, and that's Jamaican rum cake.
I love that. That's the only cake I like.
It's the only thing that I cannot resist. And there's always a fresh rum cake whenever I go over there, and I end up eating the whole thing because they're so used to it all the time. It just sits there, and I end up eating the whole rum cake. And then come back a week later, there's another rum cake there.
Gotta eat it again.
It all goes to me. So I'm going to share my rum cake from now on. But so listen, this is My Era podcast. The abbreviation for This Is My Era, or the acronym rather, is TIME, T-I-M-E. And you, sir, you don't seem to waste much of it. What role does time management play in your organization and in your life? How does Joshua Williams manage his time?
I gotta say it was easier when I was younger, and then as you get older, you have more responsibilities. And in the past probably year and a half, I've been trying to deal with how to be better at it because I've lost, I don't want to say my skill for it, but I haven't been as good at managing my time, and with school, especially in high school now, and Joshua's Heart and all the other activities that I want to do, social life, whatever it may be. It can get really hard to balance it, even to the point where you might lose, a motivation or passion to do certain things because it's a lot, traveling to do this, doing that, speaking, organizing this, whatever it may be, it adds up to you. And being so young, I guess it can have an impact on you, I guess, to a point. But I think in the past, especially in the summer, I've been trying to find out more about how I as a person can become better at that, I guess, and learn to focus more, become more self-disciplined, things like that. I mean, I think no matter who you are, you're still gonna have those problems no matter what.
Yeah.
But I think it's just learning to give each part of each thing in your life its time. And some days, it's only 24 hours in a day, so some days you might not have enough time, but there's the next day. And every day you wake up, you thank God for having that day. You move on, you keep doing it. But then I think, managing, especially when I go back to school, colleges and all that, I'm starting that process. So it's going to be a lot more added responsibilities. And I don't know, who knows what's going to happen. I have to survive somehow.
Yeah. Time is that one bank account that you know exactly how much you have in every day, and you either use it wisely or you don't. And as you're learning, the older you get, the more things that you could potentially get involved in, the more decisions you have to make on how to use your time.
Sacrifice.
And yeah, it's a whole lot of sacrifice. So describe some ways that you feel similar to other kids your age, and then describe some ways that you feel different from other kids your age.
That's a hard question. I'm still a 16-year-old boy, whatever you picture that to be.
But most 16-year-old boys haven't been feeding people in need for the past 11 years.
I mean, I mean, maybe that's a difference, but I mean, the same thing. I mean, I still like to hang out, go out to the movies, chase girls, whatever it may be. 16-year-old boys do.
You hear that, mama? You
Do the
chase the
same
girl.
thing. Yeah, she knows. But same thing as usual. I don't know, normal stuff. But there's just other stuff that I have on my mind sometimes I decide to do, and I'm a very stubborn person. I get that from my grandma. But if I'm determined to do something, I'll do it, and no matter what. But if I'm not, I might not put as much time and effort into it. And I was determined because this is something that I love to do. So I followed through on it because it was just kind of who I am, I guess.
Ladies, you hear how well-spoken this young man is. And I'll tell you, he's not going to chase you. You have to knock on this young man's doorstep because he's well protected. His mom is an amazing woman, and he's not that easy to get to. So, girls, if he's chasing you, you should feel special.
All right. I have nothing to say to that.
This is Alexander Starr, and I approve this message. So, Josh, a few years ago, I was at one of your food drives watching how you and your team work, and I took some shots on my cell phone, and a couple of the shots actually made it into the official This Is My Era music video.
Dope.
What I noticed about the whole operation is that you had things running smoothly. It was very organized. It was turnkey in a sense. Everybody knew what they were supposed to be doing, knew where they were supposed to be. And most of the volunteers were your age. How do you get people to volunteer?
Honestly, that's something we've never had issue with. The way the foundation's set up. Well, first of all, when I started the organization, before I incorporated when I was 7. So 2 years after we started giving out food to people. Before I even incorporated, I was looking for a foundation that I could join. I was about 7 or turning 7 around that age, but I couldn't find any. You have to be 18 years or older, 16 or older. I didn't understand why. I just wanted to help out. And so when I started the organization, one of the key things in it was to make sure youth of any age could come out and help, and adults. It doesn't matter. As long as you have a desire to help out, you can come out and help out. So I think the environment that we created was something that's kid-run, kid-friendly. All the distributions are a bunch of kids just helping out. So it's very inviting for other kids to come in to a point, I think. And then I also think a lot of schools, they tell kids to come to volunteer for the organization. A lot of friends get their friends to come. A lot of people are just interested in helping out. And we have a very unique way that we help out because you really get to meet the people who you're helping and see their faces, talk to them, and engage with other people. Too. And it's powerful,
I remember being there, and I remember just these families are coming, and literally you're providing for them. As a man, myself, one of my joys in life is being able to provide for others, whether it be for my son. Watching my son eat makes me happy. Watching his mom eat makes me happy. I see them getting nourishment. Being able to do things for other people, I feel that's where the real joy from money comes from. It's not for what you can do for yourself, but somebody needs something.
Of course.
Hey, don't worry about it.
And you take care of your family.
You give without expecting anything in return. And when you say, take care of your family, you're just talking about the human race. Because you don't know these people, but they come to you and you give. So I just want to give a testament to how powerful it is to actually see these people from the community who have never met you before, but you're providing for them. That's powerful.
Yeah, and when you're there and you see the kids talking to the adults and the families who they're helping, it's really something else. And you get used to it over the years, I guess. But it's really something else if you really think about it and if you experience it. Seeing young kids, 2 years old, 3 months. I've had months, like newborn babies, not newborn, but relatively young babies come out and hold cans and bring it out to tables and put it down and give it out to people. And it's it's adorable, I guess, and it's really cool seeing that. But the foundation has I think it's a unique chemistry, I guess, between at the events, because everything does fall into place. And I think it's both the way that we structure it and the people who are part of the foundation who make it possible, how it is. It's very inviting, I guess, so the kids and the adults who've been here before are very open to new people coming in. And it's something that people can really just hop in on because it's really simple. It's taking food out that we bring, packing it out, and then having families come in and you kind of shop. You organize the food and then they come and you shop with them. And it's not too hard of a principle, but executing is always harder than whatever you plan up.
So how do you get the word out when you need to recruit volunteers and you need to promote an event? how do you make people aware of what you're doing?
So, for example, if we're having an event where we distribute food out to people, we usually have it at churches, schools, community centers, things like that, or gymnasiums, things that have open spaces, and also places that have a lot of access to the community around them and know who needs help. So, for example, at a school, they can tell us the people who are on the free lunch program and who need help, and they can contact them and bring them to our site, our location. And then also, if we have community centers, same thing. Schools, churches help out all the time. What happens is that's the easiest way that we get the recipients for the family. And there's a bunch of people who are in need and who really need help. So, of course, you can do flyers out in the neighborhood, and those get around quickly. Find community people who can give it out and get people in touch with you. And finding the families isn't always the hardest thing. Sometimes we have them register pre-register, I should say, because over the years we've learned that if it's just a struggle sometimes if they just come and a lot of people come up that we don't have food for, and there's a bunch of problems that can arise from that. So we have families pre-register so we know how many people we're having and all that.
So, I mean, on top of that, like, people know about you. You've been featured on, like, really big platforms. Can you, for our This Is My Era listeners, can you share, I guess, some experiences on some of the major platforms you've been on, like Unilever and Disney and things like that? Where have you been seen? Where have your efforts been displayed?
Bunch of places, I guess.
Yeah, I know. It's a long list. Just grab some.
One of my favorite ones was the Nickelodeon Halo Awards. So it's like, helping others. And it was really, really cool. It's helping and leading others, which is the acronym for Halo. And it was me, 3 other kids, and basically it was 2 separate weekends, but they took us out to Orlando and we went to Universal and all that, and we saw, and they surprised us. Nick Cannon came out and they like had a part of the park shut down for us to film and stuff, and it was crazy. And then they had a whole stage in New York, backstage, and doing all this. It was just a really cool experience seeing all the people there, the crew, meeting Nick, meeting the other kids, and the final day when the actual performance and everything was happening. It was just really electrifying, I guess. So yeah, and some of our volunteers were there. It was cool.
That's amazing. So speaking of volunteers, I understand that branching off with other young change makers is now a major part of your organization. You call it setting fires in other people. And we actually have a couple of those other people with us. So I'd like to introduce Chaz and Talia Castro. How y'all doing? I'm good. All right. So I met these 2 young people today coming in here with Josh, and they're like right along the same lanes, the lines. Like, you have the foundation, and your foundation is now spreading its wings and growing new feathers, per se. Not sure how good of a metaphor that is, but explain how you're branching out with Chaz and Talia and other young people.
Yeah, so especially as I'm leaving to college soon enough, I'm a rising senior, so it's important to find a successor, to find different people who can take on a legacy, I guess, and carry it on. And a lot of our kids over the past couple years have started to develop their own projects, have realized that, of course, we love Joshua's Heart and all that, but I also want to give out books and work with literacy. I realize people are homeless and are cold at night. Even Miami, during the winters, it can get pretty cold here. And I want to give out blankets, which is both projects that some of our kids have. Or as Talia did, she wanted to help out her community, and she started her project, which is called Project Assist. And she's collect toiletries, food, and all this, and really giving it out. So
Talia, step up to the mic. Tell us a little about Project Assist and, what inspired you to start it, where you started, and where you are now.
Well, I think I was inspired, as well as a lot of other members of Joshua's Heart, by Joshua, seeing what he's done, how he's grown, because I've been there since the very beginning. I've seen how small it was, and now, looking at all the volunteers, all of our sponsors, how much we've really grown, I see how much Joshua's helped people, and I really want to be able to do something like that of my own. So through Joshua's Heart, I branched out to start Project Assist, and it's a very vague name, but I like covering lots of different areas. Like, I've collected things, clothes, toys, books, and I sent it to Haiti after the earthquakes in 2015, and currently I still do that once a month. And I know a lot of my friends and family have helped me by sending monetary donations, or I like to focus a lot on toiletries. I call them Hope Totes. I like to put toiletries and non-perishable snacks into Ziploc bags and go around the streets or Miami Rescue Mission and hand them out to people. And that, I met someone on the street, and they said that the Hope Totes weren't only giving them food, it was also giving them hope in itself, that there's always a better tomorrow, that everything's going to get better, that a lot of people, we've seen a lot of good feedback, people emotionally crying on the streets because they don't get this attention, because a lot of people think that you're homeless, you're worthless, you're not. But we're all humans, we're all made the same, we all have the same value. So I like to think that everyone can be helped, everyone is worth helping, and there's no one that should be left behind, and there's no one that's of less value than you. So with Project Assist, I like to be the one to help them, and because of Joshua, I have now raised and donated over 2,600 pounds of toiletries and 2,200 individual items such as washcloths or shampoos or something
And you're how
things
old?
like that. I'm 16.
16.
As well. Yeah.
Generation 16-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
This is so fly. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, Chaz, you're the brother. You're the little brother
Yeah,
of Miss
I'm
Talia. Yeah?
Not so little though.
Yo, hey, see, he's trying to talk with bass in his voice. Because, you know, the girls are listening. I'm not so little. I'm just playing, man. So, tell me about your involvement. What is your role? What do you do? And how do you feel?
Well, I'm really an assistant to the whole project going on, but I like to think of myself as I'm like, we all make an impact on the community and we still help a lot, but as they get older, I get older, and you have a lot of responsibilities to live up to. So being like growing up with with an older sister, especially, you have a lot of expectations to live up to, and your parents you want to make your parents proud, as you saying, you want to make other people proud, and you want to make an impact on the community. And my sister really does that, and Josh's heart is overall just a really good foundation, and just plays a very strong role in growing up, and watching other people struggle is not something that it makes you glad. And trying to change the world we live in, because we all bleed the same blood. So, I mean, why would you just walk past someone trying to get food or anything like that? Because what if that was you? You have to always imagine yourself in that same situation.
Right. Yeah, man. Oftentimes, you know, there's like a homeless epidemic, and, you know, this is my era, right? So by embracing that, I know that whether it's something small, whether I give somebody 10 cents or $10,000, it's making some kind of a difference. So in the little ways that I like to do it is whenever let's say I'm walking, you know, somewhere in Miami, and there's a homeless person asking me for some change or for some money, I'd be like, yo, let's walk in here. What do you want to eat? And just get them some food. Something like that, literally, like, you know, unexpected. It's, you know, better than some change, and you know that they're getting fed. So that's something that makes me happy, and I'm really happy that doing things like this makes y'all happy. I feel like I'm in the room with like future United Nations like diplomats right now. So give it maybe 16, give it maybe like 15 years or so, and I'm gonna look back at this and be like, look at them when they were young and not corporate. Or maybe kind of corporate.
I don't know. I don't know where we'll end up.
College first.
You know,
College first.
That is actually a question. Like, with everything that you've done, what are your long-term career goals? What are you interested in outside of this?
Well, I got to think about that for a second. But first of all, I mean, we talked about it earlier, kind of, and how money plays impact in happiness in terms of being able to take care of your family, which I agree with 100%. You're able to take care of people to a different degree. So I think first and foremost is me, and I think college is very important. It's a new experience, and it's a great experience, and it can be a very big part of your life. And I think going to college first, getting the experiences there, learning, meeting new people, making new connections, whatever it may be, is the first step. And then I've always been into entrepreneurship, I guess, kind of. So I think starting businesses, whatever it may be, it's more my alleyway. But you never know what the future holds. You never know where you end up. I didn't expect myself to be doing what I'm doing now when I was 4.5 or 6 or 7. But yeah, I mean, just trying to do great things is, I guess, the standard that I try to set myself to. Take care of my family, my friends, and live life.
You mean you didn't already have your life planned out when you were 6?
Still don't.
Come on, man. Like, all right, so I want to ask this question. It might be kind of like a no-brainer, but you two, Chaz and Talia, you've already spoken about the type of change that you want to make in the world. And one thing that we stress with our This Is My Era listeners is that, you know, there's one thing of knowing what change you want to see in the world, but there are seers and there are doers. What or who inspired you to get up and actually take action for what you wanted to do? and I know Josh is a huge influence in this area, but is there anybody else that you look up to role model wise that inspires you to, like, you know what, stop talking about it and do it?
I look up to athletes because I'm an athlete myself, and I play football and wrestle. But those athletes, they didn't come in the greatest condition. They weren't built the same way they are today, and they really, to be honest, they weren't living the best life when they were 5 years old, 10 years old, and they just wanted to tell their family that they'll make it out of the projects, I guess. Not all of them lived in the projects, but most of them, and they just worked really, really hard, and they're giving back to the community, and that's who I look up to, because most of them are giving back because they know what the struggle is, where they came from, and what they do.
All right. Talia, you agree?
I agree, but there's lots of people in my family that, for example, my grandmother, she moved from one country to the other, and she was able to start work straight out of college. She was a banker. She started really low, but was able to work herself up over the years, build herself up, and she gained credibility, she gained trust from her coworkers, and now she's happily retired, and her kids are all grown up. They're both very successful, and so just seeing how you can start somewhere and where she's ended up, how much she's grown, and how much she helps. She still gives back to people today. She still travels, and she is living a really good life, and I think that that's someone I want to be like. I want to be able to grow up and retire and still be able to help out the community when I am her age.
That's perfect. Beautiful. So, Josh, so many positive notes have been touched upon so far. What kind of setbacks do you encounter when putting on a food drive?
First things food, I guess. Make sure that we have the correct amount of food, that we can help as many people as possible. Of course, we don't have a limit to how much food we request. We just try to get enough to feed as many people as we can and make the event a success. Money is always an issue, and that's any business, non-profit and for-profit. You always need revenue, income, and money's coming and going all the time. You got to buy food, whatever it may be. Expenses everywhere. And I mean, when I was younger, I was more oblivious, I guess, to that fact. I was more focused on the giving part and getting kids to get back, and I still am. But as you get older, you learn more things. And the foundation, especially as I've grown up, it's grown up with me. So we've learned together, I guess. Other distributions, volunteers, we don't really ever have an issue with volunteers. I think, again, because of the way the foundation's set up, we get a lot of good volunteers, a lot of good people. But yeah, I think food and money are the two things that we always need the most. Yeah.
Food and money are very important.
Yeah.
Two very important things. So has there ever been a point where you felt like incredibly frustrated with the process and like wanted to give up?
I think it has to go back to that time management thing, just workload. School and running the business are two things that can stack up on each other. Like I'm 9th and 10th grade especially, I was traveling almost every weekend out, doing speeches, talking to people, whatever it may be. And it can really add up. And like even for me and my mom, both of us, it gets really stressful. So yeah.
And tell me how strong mommy is in this process. How does mom help you?
Shout out to mom over here. No, she's, I think, and as they were saying, role models, I think she's one of my role models. She and my grandma, they're both very, very strong women, and they both just really, I think they're both doers, just like you said earlier. So I think there are two people who I can look up to, who are right there, right next to me all the time. And she's been very, very crucial in this. She's been teaching me a bunch of stuff, made me grow. She's grown me up, I guess, or been there for me as I've grown up. And she's just helped me out. She's always been there for me, always been very supportive, and always been somebody who I can talk to. And we're pretty tight. So yeah, shout out to mom.
Shout out to mom. Shout out to mom. I'm gonna take this opportunity. Shout out to my mama. Mama, I love you. Thank you for all your love and support. Daddy too. I love y'all both. I could not be doing what I do and pursuing my dreams full throttle had it not been for the love and support and care of my parents and my family and Zion's mom and her mom and Zion and everybody. Family, this is my time. I love y'all. Thank y'all. So, Josh, the golden question, how are you making this your era? Why is this your era?
That's a loaded question. Just by doing what I can do now, seeing something that I can make a change in, and taking action against it. And it's your era whenever you are doing that, I think. It's whenever you are actually doing. And despite the age and despite whether you're 50 or 60, whatever age you are, if you're doing, it's your moment. And if you're making a change in the current present, it's your moment. And
Beautiful. Your first line hit it on the head. You said, "Cause I'm doing it now," and a mantra of the This Is My Era brand is we believe in the now. NOW, no opportunity wasted. Take action, like we were talking about earlier. So, last question: what advice do you give to a person who has a dream but doesn't know how to begin pursuing it?
You just gotta start. I mean, it sounds really stupid, but honestly, if you're starting a business, the best way to learn about the environment, to become an expert in that field, is to start and to get experience, to make mistakes, to learn from them. Whatever it is you're doing, sometimes you just have to jump head first in it. And nowadays, I mean, certain things are harder nowadays. There's a lot more people who are trying to do certain things, and in certain fields it's more competitive. But you have the internet now, and honestly, that's a great resource. Finding people's interviews, whatever it may be, there's a bunch of different things that you can learn from, figure out what you need to do to take steps from. But it's really just starting, never giving up, hard work, which is something that I've been trying to work on myself, is make sure to keep focused and work hard in and everything that I do. But focus, hard work, and learning business skills, I think, just keeping your mind open, prayer, keeping close to God, keeping your family close. Yeah, never giving up. Oh yeah, connections, I guess. And I think that's a business skill that I've learned, is just making sure that you connect with different people. You don't have to be best friends with everybody, and that's not realistic. But just be friendly and be kind to people. You might not be the most outgoing person. I'm not the most outgoing person, but you have to just be friendly and be open to people. So yeah.
You have massive wisdom for a 16-year-old young man.
Thank you.
Massive, massive.
Could only get more, hopefully.
Amen. Chaz and Talia, what advice do you give to someone who has a dream? How do you tell them to get up and go?
Well, everybody has a dream. I think the most important part is finding what you love to do and finding a way that what you love to do impacts others. So let's say you love to dance, find kids that don't know how to dance, teach them. There's always little impacts you can do, whether it's doing something small, such as teaching someone how to dance, or huge, starting a foundation and incorporating connections and everything. But once you find your passion, what you want to do, get others involved and get other people to help you and do what you love to do. Because that way it's fun. That way it doesn't feel like you're working. It feels like you're really doing something you love. You have a passion, stick to it. Just go for it.
Before you help others, you have to help yourself. That's what I live on. Because being young, my dad always told me, you have to try, put maximum effort, 105% to everything you do. Work hard, stay humble. And really, if you want to help others, you just pursue it. And not really in a way that it's just a one-time thing. Whether it's you go, you help, and you just talk about it, but you never really do it again. You just have to be constant with it and just don't change. You have to work hard, especially. And if you want to do something, just go after it.
Yeah, I think oftentimes nowadays people tend to limit themselves, I guess. There's no point in dreaming if you don't dream big. And if you don't try to achieve the best, you're going to achieve, the middle. You got to just dream. Don't put any limits on yourself. Dream big. And you never know where you're going to end up. So be open to different possibilities. You might find yourself somewhere else. But yeah, and I think that limit thing is something that I've seen a lot more nowadays, I think, is people saying you can't do this isn't going to happen. And I mean, there's always that negativity, always, and there's always been. But just knowing that you can do whatever you want, there's no limit to your success, and should be confident, happy with who you are. So yeah.
Amen. So, Josh, I want to thank you and your mom, Claudia, for being open-minded with us in that way, because when we met you back in, was it like 2013 or 2014, and we wanted to, I told you about This Is My Era, like a long time ago when it was in its infancy. Like legit, me and Sekajipo met y'all in Miami at your friend's house.
I don't even remember, to be honest.
Dude.
That was a while ago.
Because there was nothing spectacular about what we brought to the table. We brought our idea and a little, like, $200 camera, and we already knew you were doing big things, but we knew how big we wanted This Is My Era to be. And you agreed to have us come and meet you at the house, and we had no microphone. We had no, we just had the camera, and the room was full of reverb, and it was just completely unpolished of the video capture that we got. And we had you say, "My name is Joshua Williams.
I remember that.
This is my era."
I remember that.
And I legit, I'm going through my computer, like video files and stuff like that, and I look at that and I'm like, my God, like they probably thought we were jokes back then. And you didn't. And there's a stark contrast to that first time we were trying to capture content from you to look where we are right now. We're in Audio Vision Studios, and y'all believed in us and what we were doing, and now we're rising up. Everybody's rising up because this is our era. Thank y'all so much for being here. Thank y'all for coming and being a part of this podcast. We're really excited to see what you do next.
Thank you.
Everything and everybody that you touch, we're excited to see what they do next, and you have our support. This is My Era Podcastians. This is Alexander Starr signing out. Thank y'all for tuning in. Much more greatness to come. This is my era. This is our era. This is your era. Tune in next time.
Well, let's go! This is my era!
Oh, yeah!
This is my era! This is my era! Come on! Come on! This is my era! This is my era! What about you? Everybody runs the race. Some have what it takes, and others don't make it through. What about you? Stand up when they call your name. Stand out when you do your job. Let greatness notice you. If you're just wishing for glory, then what are you asking? Victory ain't sweet if you don't live through the pain. So many great ones before me found glory everlasting. That's what I came to do, came to be. Cause see, this is my era. Oh yeah, this is my era. This is my era. Come on, this is my era. This is my era. Come on, this is my era. What about you?
This is my era, this is my era. The mission and the vision never been so clearer. Seems like the world ain't getting no better. If you wanna see a change, take a look in the mirror now. You possess the key to unlock it. Open up the door, opportunities knocking. You can't deny. On this road that we're walking, there's gonna be some obstacles, but we'll keep on marching. Some will doubt you, even talk about you, but this world wouldn't be the same without you. Golden people on the rise, we know our value. Reaching the impossible, we'll show you how to. Don't know about you, but I know about me. I was born with everything I need to succeed. Living out the dreams, what I'm supposed to do, what I'm supposed to be. Cause see,
this is my era. Change that we all wanna see, yeah, whoa. And as long as I'm living and breathing, I reach for the sky, giving living a meaning.